Hey folks, how y'all doing? Just getting up on my day off, which is Fridays. And it's time for vinyl update. I believe it's number 60. And a couple things. I just checked my subscriptions, which I don't often do, and it's up to 590. Wow. I'll have to do a thank you here shortly at 600. Of course, I shouldn't assume I'm going to get 600. So it's just amazing, Thank you. Thank you for being friends. I want to do an update and then maybe talk a little bit about what I've been listening to. I recently, as I shared, updated my music room and added some shelves in the living room, so virtually all of my albums are accessible to me now. I had so many piles that for months that I couldn't, I really couldn't find things in it. I've just been finding things. I found Neil Young. Why was Neil Young in the teas, for heaven's sakes, So I found more Neil Young and things like that. And then also just Mr. Hall of Fame. That was something I picked up about him, and he said it's like he says I got to have access. I got to have my record so I can have access to him. And now that I have it again after not having it for so long, I really appreciate his statement. It makes a difference to be able to just look and say, where is this? And then it's all there so you can find it instead of having to go through piles on the floor. So it's been great. So the last few things I bought, among other things, I also think it's because of my age that as much as I am looking at what's current, I'm buying from my past. And yes, I am buying records that I could never afford before. Going all the way back to the 60s. So the first things I'm going to show are some reissues from the 60s that I could never afford before. And I just wanted them. And thankfully they're good records, but they were things I just really wanted. And Grecian Thunder, I'll kind of mention you a little bit in this one, although I will do a proper response. I'm still thinking about it, the answer to the Soiled Thread, because I think most records I'm disappointed with to get rid of. But one record I've been wanting for a long time, and I have a single from it, have had forever, is July. And this is a reissue. July was an English band, neo-psychedelic, who morphed into Jade Warrior. And this is a record that I've wanted for a long time, partially because of the cover. I love the cover. It's colorful, fanciful, psychedelic. And thankfully, this record is very good. Elements of folk, elements of Eastern music already influencing this. A slightly progressive approach in that it's not a blues-based rock and roll type of song. Really what I'm looking for. I love this. I'm glad I got it, and I love it. That's one of the things I recently got. Another album that I woefully say much more than I enjoy, but if it's the truth, I say it. I used to have this. I used to have an original copy of this. Don't really remember why I sold it, but I've been wanting another copy, and I finally bought a reissue of the United States of America. Joe Bird and the Field Hippies. This is what he was doing before he did that album. This album is not consistently a masterpiece, but there are some extremely excellent and I think important songs on this album in regards to the development of rock music and electronics. I also think that the singer on the album, Dorothy Moskowitz, fantastic voice. For folks who are collecting the cutting edge of rock music historically, this is a must-have in my opinion. This is awesome. The early use of electronics, oscillators, sine wave generators, and just the way that it's mixed in to the arrangements. The Garden of Earthly Delights, Coming Down, Hard Coming Love. I mean, just listen to that title, Hard Coming Love, okay? I ain't gonna get nasty with it. You know what I'm saying? This is vital. Really glad I finally got a copy of this. And it's a faithful reproduction with the old Columbia label and everything, which I just love. Just love it. Was really happy to pick that up. Let's see, just a couple more things I bought recently. Well, I showed you that I bought the Radiohead, and I've listened to the latest remix, which is Morning Mr. Magpie and 2 remixes of Bloom. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And like I said again yesterday, these remixes give me a even better, more appreciative perspective of Radiohead's album. But you know something, I'm really partial to Tom York and Radiohead's choices for remixes. They're good. This is great. The last thing that I bought that I can remember, because I've been putting things away actually just because it's been so much fun to be able to put them away. So I might have missed a couple things and I'll get back to them. But another record from the 60s, 1968, that I've always wanted, partially because of the cover, is Rainbow Folly. Rainbow Folly, and the album is Sally's Fourth. This came out in 1968. And once again, it's got that fanciful, colorful, psychedelic or neo-psychedelic, whatever you want to call it, cover. It was a psychedelic all the way to me, you know, especially seeing it for the first time as a kid. It's like, wow, what is that? That's got to be good, you know. As it turns out, this record, these recordings were made by a couple of brothers that put together a band, and these were like their demos. They had a connection to, I believe, the BBC radio workshop, so they were able to get people to make audio interludes and little sketches to put in between the songs, which heightens the psychedelic nature of this record, because in fact, really, this is a straight pop album, and some of the songs you can really hear, they're unfinished. This was a demo. This was them intending to try to get a deal, but apparently the label, EMI or whoever it was that originally put it out, liked it and just put it out as is. So consequently, it's slightly flawed in the execution of some of the songs, but knowing the story behind it, it actually lends a greater charm to what you hear. And I want to shout out to this label. I don't know really anything about it, but these 180-gram vinyl pressings are pristine. What is it? Gerson? I think it's out of Spain, maybe. The pressings are beautiful, and they sound immaculate. So, you see if I see more reissues of interest on this imprint Gerson, however you say it, sold. Some things that I discovered. I haven't seen any of you Neil Young folks show this record, Neil Young and the Blue Notes. I don't particularly like this record, but I bought it after I saw this tour. I saw Neil Young do this. He did a regular set and just blazed, and then there was an intermission, and they completely redid the stage, and he did the Blue Notes thing, and he comes out with the hair quiffed and the sideburns, and they did it up, and it was fun. And so in live, whereas I don't like to sit and listen to stuff like this, it just takes me somewhere I don't want to go, which is into the past in a lot of ways, and places in the past that I don't want to go. But live, this was fabulous. It was really fun. So I was glad to find that I had that still. Just digging through my piles and deciding what to play. I picked up, decided to play this. This is a band called Big Nurse. I think possibly they're from New York. I saw them when they came to Omaha a few years ago on tour. And the show was just mayhem and chaos, and half the band ended up naked and just all over the place, and it was fantastic. You know, it was unhinged, and I love stuff like that. You know, I mean, there was not necessarily an element of danger, but there was an element of what are these people going to do next, which I loved. So consequently, this album is a big noisy mess in a real good way. They don't sound like Bardo Pond at all, but there's a similarity into it's just this thick soup of sound, noise, voice, some structure comes through and then it gets lost. Big Nurse. This is an independent release that they put out. There's no label that I can discern, no label at all. I don't even know if you could find this if you wanted to, unless going directly to the band. I'm sure that there's something. High Density Headache is the name of the website that's cited on the liner notes. But Big Nurse, this was a lot of fun. Something else I pulled out and listened to was this little-known band from Norway, pop band called The Last James. Now, apparently in Norway, they're known. I was reading, and this album, Kindergarten, is considered one of the best pop albums ever made in Norway. Well, I don't know Norway's history and culture, so I don't know. But I can tell you, this is a damn good pop / psychedelic pop album that probably not too many people know about outside of Norway. So maybe some of you wonder, well, how did you find out about it? And the way that I find out about records is I take chances when I can afford to. And a lot of it has to do with what I see. Lazarus talked about that in his last video, taking chances based on the cover. But as well as the cover, folks, what I've learned to do over the years is that you look at the song titles. I'm a train spotter, big time. If I can see the credits, what I'll look for is familiar names of musicians, producers, engineers, publishers. That's something else I noticed years ago, is that certain publishers seem to have the cool music, and so that became another thing that I would look for in taking chances. And my track record has got good. Of course, as old as I am, it should be by now, But Last James, I was listening to it and trying to think, who would I compare this to? And I'd have to listen to it again, because there's elements that are throwbacks to the 60s and 70s, and then there's elements that are very contemporary. The Last James, it's really good. And then a couple more things that I played. We all go through moods, and so we'll play music according to our moods. And for a minute, I felt like getting into some aggressive music. I haven't showed any of what I have left of punk music, hardly. I used to have a punk collection and just sold it. But one of the albums that I kept was Necros. I really like Necros, and this is sloppy metal punk, and it's great. Sloppy metal punk, and it's great. Necros. This Rat Fink on the cover there. This hit the spot when I put it on. I thought I want to hear some aggro, and this was what I wanted to hear. Of course, Napalm Death could have done it. Some GBH. There's my phone, and it's Nils. Hey Nils, making a video. I'll call you right back. All right, right back. So I play in patio furniture with Nils. He's a great guy, and we're supposed to go to lunch today. The last thing I'll show is MIA. I don't have her latest, but I love this album, Arilar. I just love it. Girl's badass. She is. She makes some really funky beats. Very cool beats. Very, 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 very cool beats. And I like what she's saying. She's been called a provocateur, but I think she is. I feel like I'm like her. It's like she's trying to say, hey, people, there's some pretty obvious information that I just look at here, yo. So that's my latest update, people, and I'm going to get off and give my friend Nels a call. Take care. Have a good one.